Let's talk about Dragon Ball Super Episode 10, entitled Misero Goku Super Saiyajin Godo no Power, which translates to very simply, Show me Goku, the power of Super Saiyan God. And that's pretty much what was shown. The long-awaited fight between God Goku and Lord Beerus, the God of Destruction, at last on the Super adaptation of Battle of Gods has begun. And boy, this episode just got better and better. I mean, really, it's I don't know if it's my favorite. I think probably 6 or 7 are still up there as being my favorite episodes of Dragon Ball Super so far, but this one might have gone up there into that second place slot. It might be like 6, then this one. This was a great episode, and really, stylistically, it felt more like Dragon Ball. I was very, very happy with Sumitomo's score in this episode. A lot of people have been criticizing it for the past few weeks, and rightfully so. Some of the songs do sound a bit weird, but with this episode, the way he scored the fight and the way he scored kind of Beerus, the Beerus theme that he's come up with is pretty awesome, but the way he scored this fight, especially at the end, was just really grandiose and really epic, and that's what we need from Dragon Ball Super. We need that kind of score, we need that kind of epicness to be in these big fights. Now, one of the things they did in this episode that they did not do in Battle of Gods, which I actually enjoyed more, is that they had a whole sequence, a whole, act where Goku was talking about how he's still not used to the God form. And I really liked that. In Battle of Gods, he just started swinging and they started fighting in the city and all that. And it was pretty epic. But here, Goku had to get used to the form. So he lunges at Beerus and Beerus moves and he's like, whoa, and he can't stop himself. That was pretty cool. With God Ki, there's a lot of misconceptions on the web about God Ki now because of people who didn't pay attention to the films or making shit up. But the thing about God Ki is that even though there's a myth that regular Ki cannot hurt God Ki, that is obviously not true. God Ki is like a different level above regular Ki. And there's a whole sequence where Gohan's like, I can't sense him. And then Whis explains, no, he's a god now. That's why you can't sense him. That's the big thing, that regular mortals, I guess you can say, cannot sense God Ki. So they start fighting, and I do love the fight here. It's not as intense early on as it was in Battle of Gods, but it built up throughout the episode, which I thought was great storytelling and great directing. Goku's still trying to land some shots. Beerus is dodging and blocking, this time a little bit more cautiously because he recognizes Goku's power-up as a god. And finally, Goku hits a nice little shot. Well, first Beerus hits a right hand to the gut. Goku tries to recover from running away, but Beerus catches up and backfists him. And Goku goes for a shot, and Beerus catches him first. So Beerus has the clear reach advantage here in this fight, which is kind of funny. It's like boxing. Like, I'm giving you like a boxing commentary here. Now, there's also another cool scene where Beerus throws a shot, Goku blocks it, and smoke comes out of Goku's wrist. Like, holy shit, you're a god. This is serious shit. So then the fight goes elsewhere, and Bulma, kind of like in the movie, goes to get one of her little flying crafts. It looks like the one in the movie, but a little bit smaller. And it didn't just come out of the ground. She had to go and get it. So the whole crew kind of follows suit, except for a few characters that stay on the boat. But most of the characters went along with them. And then what happens is Beerus starts fighting a lot more aggressively. And there's a scene where Goku blocks the shot. And it's like a big scene. He blocks and he counterattacks, nailing Beerus in the face. So what we're seeing here, the story they're telling us with this version of the events, is that Goku, as the fight progresses, is getting more powerful and more accustomed to the god power, which I really, really like. He's not used to this level of power, and even though he's been training all his life, this is like a new feat for him. So at first in the fight, Beerus is going to obviously win a lot easier, but as the fight progresses, Goku begins to adapt. And that, I think, makes perfect sense because that's kind of how Goku has always been, a very adaptable fighter, which is, if you guys remember, if you've seen Resurrection F, Frieza's weakness is that he gets these new forms, doesn't really take time to adapt, and then he ends up draining too much of his power. Goku, on the other hand, because he was, a fighting genius, like they said in the Battle of Gods movie, he is slowly able to adapt. And then what happens is Beerus shoots this really powerful ki blast at Goku. Goku's having some trouble, but he finally manages to parry it away. Then Goku starts to power up. So he starts to charge up his ki, raising his ki level. It appears like in this version of the events, the God Goku power is not going to run out, at least not so fast. You know, if you guys remember in Battle of Gods, they're fighting in the cave, the red hair goes away, Goku absorbs it. We may still see that, but we haven't seen it yet. This fight will be longer. So Goku powers up and lands a clean hit with a right straight, and Beerus has a mark on his face. Beerus has been cut. It's like a fucking Rocky movie. Beerus goes for a shot. Goku grabs his wrist, gets behind him, flicks Beerus in the head, which is payback for what Beerus did to him on Kaio's planet. This is getting better and better. Lord Beerus is starting to get pissed. And he's like, okay, this is truly a battle between God and God. And then the episode ends with Joji Yanami, the narrator, closing the episode with narration, which a lot of I don't think we've seen that yet in Super, where Yanami actually narrates the end of the episode. We haven't seen that yet. That's from Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and even GT. We have not seen that in Super. Now we're seeing it. Now it's starting to feel more like the Dragon Ball that we all grew up with. Sumitomo did a great job. The voice acting was good. Great episode. I don't know if it's my favorite. It's my second favorite so far. I may have to go back and watch it to make it my favorite, but it really, really felt like Dragon Ball, and I'm very, very happy to have seen it. And next week, the fight will intensify. Now, what's interesting about next week's episode is that next week's episode is going to, from what we've seen in the preview, take place in space. We are seeing that as the fight progresses, they're going to be going higher and higher up into the sky, and it looks like, from what we've seen, that they're going to be going into space, or at least like the stratosphere, you know, where they were in Battle of Gods. And it looks like Beerus is like toying around with a ki blast or something like that. Very interesting to me. It looks like that whole sequence from Battle of Gods where Goku and Beerus fought in like the desert. Then they went to that like estuary and then underground where they're like, oh, this isn't a sport. And then, you know, Goku explodes. In the Japanese version, Nosawa was like, oh, destruction ain't my type of thing. In the dub, Sean Schemmel was like, I won't let you destroy my world. That whole scene, right, where he blows up and goes SSJ, I think that's being omitted. And I think the reason why, guys, is because I think the scene, and we've talked about this before, Goku going SSJ1 with gold hair in the red-haired SS God form doesn't really make much sense considering they introduced a new form that kind of does that, which is the blue-haired God form. So it's possible, don't quote me on this, it's just my theory, that they might be omitting that entire scene, which sucks because that is a cool scene from the movie. You're hearing Flo's hero, you know, going out and, you know, gimme power, 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 and he's fucking whooping his ass. Fucking awesome shit. We might not get that with Super. However, for logistical standpoints, it would kind of make sense that Goku can't really do the yellow hair. Maybe if he powers up, he'll get the blue hair. But again, I don't know. But it does look like the fight is going out into space. One more thing I forgot to mention before we end this review. I forgot to mention this for the last few weeks. The sound effects guy from Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, and GT. He did all Dragon Ball anime. He's not there anymore. I totally forgot to mention this. The sound effects do sound a little bit different. Those classic Dragon Ball sound effects, like whoosh, 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 like they're kind of gone. They're still good sound effects, don't get me wrong, but the classic sound effects from back in the day aren't there anymore. And it's unfortunate because it just sounds just not really too much like Dragon Ball. But of all the episodes so far, episode 10 does appear to be, you know, the most Dragon Ball of the bunch, you know, of Dragon Ball Super. And I still love episode 2 and episode 6 and 7, but 10 is awesome. So let me know your thoughts below. Did you enjoy God Goku versus Beerus so far? From what we've seen and what I've talked about in the channel, the fight is probably going to be another 2 or 3 episodes. It's going to end at around episode 12 or 13. I am still predicting that the other god of destruction, or so we believe he is, Champa, will be appearing at the end of episode 12. But because they're going into space now, maybe it'll be sooner. Let me know your thoughts below, and I'll catch you down the road. Hey, Super Tubers, don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and spread the word about the channel, and find me on these social media platforms.